Evening. Oh, welcome to a somewhat surprise stream. So, as most of you know, I do Geoscope on Tuesdays with Graham. Unfortunately, Graham is away today, so no Geoscope tonight. So I thought instead tonight I would do my own stream instead. Keep you all company. Because I've got a couple of things I want to talk about this evening. Like I say, we're going to go over Conservative Home's bizarre defense of Lee Anderson. I'd call it interesting, but to be honest, the air quotes around interesting are doing a lot of heavy lifting. A lot of heavy lifting. So that's certainly one thing we'll be having fun with. And then also we're gonna have a NATO party. Because guess what? Sweden is in NATO. So guess what? Baltic Lake NATO pool, baby. So yeah, we'll be talking about that and the problems that that has now for Russia. So that'll be fun. Oh. So anyway, who's in the chat? David Walker, good evening to you. Dave W, hello to you. You better, Dave. You say it'll be a full doubling down. Oh, Dave. Oh, let me continue to threaten you, of course, with a good time. PMQ should be interesting tomorrow. Oh, they should be very interesting tomorrow. Very interesting. Because all Starmer has to do tomorrow is come out and say, why is it okay for one of your, or at the time, one of your MPs to go forward, say something racist, and potentially apologize for it, and yet he's still be allowed to continue within your party. The only reason Lee Anderson has been given the boot is, well, because he refused to say sorry. Yeah, he won't answer a single question. Yeah, he won't. He'll make something up about it, I'm sure. He'll say something about it, but that's all a Labour MP has to do tomorrow. Is just raise that question. Just merely poke Rishi Sunak with the just mildest of pokes against him, and just watch him scream. But we're going to go into this on Conservative Home's bizarre defense of Lee Anderson, because it is really bizarre. Yep, Ned, very, very much agree with you on that. Ain't no party like a NATO party. That's very, very true. Oh, in fact, that's what we should. Let me. Oh, can I re-edit the stream? Yeah. I don't know. Oh, can I PDR TY? There we go. Will that save it? I don't know. I've changed it on YouTube, but there you go. I don't know if it'll update yet. But that's very true. This is indeed a NATO party as well, and we'll be celebrating that later. Because Sweden getting into NATO going to cause significant problems for old Putin. Because guess what? We get to talk about the Crimean War as well, and why the Crimean War was won. So we're going to have a look at that later, and how that now shakes things out in terms of NATO on that. I missed the R out of party. Oh, no. Oh, no, I did. Ah, there we go. Save changes. There we go. There we go. Thank you very much for that, Dave. Thank you very much. Um, can we place bets on whether Sunak or 30p Lee is going to be the first to cover Elton John's Sorry Seems to Be? Hmm. We'll see. We'll see. But someone should do that. That would be a good cover. I'm pretty sure there's probably enough footage of Lee Anderson out there to be able to make him look like he's doing that. Would it be contempt of parliament if the whole Labour Party walked in wearing Lee Anderson masks? I don't know. Interesting question. Oh, but anyway, yeah. Let's get on to this. But please do remember to click on the like and share button. Like I say, let's get more people in because I am streaming. I know at an odd time, so a lot of people might not be aware, but I have done my shares out. So do remember to click on the like and share button. So here we have it. I did not expect this. I saw this morning and I was like, "What the hell is this?" So how Anderson found his way to the Conservative Party and why Sunak is right to leave him a way back. Really? So you think it's all right to allow this guy who has said a very, very Islamophobic comment back into the Conservative Party? I've already done a video today explaining, why this very thing at the moment is causing a massive split again in the Tory party, because you've got those who are supporting Anderson, saying what he said was it was right. He was right to say those things. And then you've got the other side of the Tory party who was like, oh no, he should apologize. He should be kicked out of it. So yeah, going to be an interesting PMQs tomorrow. That is for sure. So let us begin. But I almost must warn you that this guy who wrote this, Andrew Grimson, he wrote a very, very pro Boris piece back in the day when Boris was like literally about to be kicked out. Like it was very clear at that moment Boris was hiding in the bunker, and this guy wrote like the most pro Boris piece you can think of it. And here he is once again trying to save Lee Anderson of all people. But anyway, Colin Thompson, greetings to you from the Big Apple. So let's see what he has to say. So a year ago today, Conservative Home published my account of a day spent with Lee Anderson in his constituency of Ashfield on the westernmost edge of Nottinghamshire. And we went over that. We went over his day with Lee Anderson. If you can remember that, we actually did the video on that, and it was interesting, shall we say, on that front. Anyway, while driving us from meeting to meeting, he told me something of his early life. So this is what he said. He said he's never moved more than 5 miles from where in 1967 he was born. His father was a miner, and in 1984, unlike most miners in Nottinghamshire, he came out on strike and joined the picket line, where Lee, not yet a miner, joined him, saying, "I've seen my dad arrested and thrown in the back of a police van." His father was only on strike for nearly a year. The worst part was he went back and had to work with all the men who dodged the picket lines. We loathed Thatcher with a passion, Anderson said, as he recalled the devastating effects on pit closures on local communities. His heroes in those days were Arthur Scargill, president of the National Miners Union, Dennis Skinner, the former miner and MP of Bolsover, for 49 years, and of course Tony Benn, all of whom heard us speak in Chesterfield, Benn's seat from 1984 to 2021. So Anderson himself spent 11 or 12 years as a miner, having grown up in a household where the alarm clock of his father always went off at 4:30 each morning to awaken him to go down the pit. Hearing that for years and years conditioned me to know that I had to do the same. It's what men did. But then men stopped doing it. And for Nottinghamshire, as across the country, the pits closed, and so did the vast vital network of clubs and other institutions which depended on the pit. Altogether, sustained an intense local pride. So, why on earth then, if you are saying that all this was a really bad moment, all these pit closures were bad, why on earth then has this guy never championed helping the North, helping improve the North, reindustrializing the North, bringing new industries to the North? It's insane that they can sympathize with Anderson on this, but apparently not with anyone else. Leanderthal is a good nickname for Lee Anderson. It is. Catho G, good evening to you. And good evening to you, Mr. Chia. Chia Man, I think that's how you say it. But anyway, yeah, so far, honestly, if you haven't seen what the punchline of this article is, Lee Anderson gets to do a racism because he's working class. And apparently, if you're working class, it's okay to do a racism. If you haven't noticed where this article is going, that's where it's going to go. So strap yourselves in for some massive reaching. Massive reaching. Anyway, where are we? So, where are we? It is easy to forget if one did not experience it. The trauma inflicted by these events. Driving around with Anderson, we saw one quality behind his very rough manner and his readiness to make jokes, saying, like many men who tell jokes, Anderson does so in part as a protective screen for his feelings. One might say the Boris Johnson of Ashfield. Well, hopefully not, because Boris did the same thing. He managed to survive. I doubt he's going to survive the same way. That connecting with the wider public because it serves his vulnerability as well as his toughness. None of which is a justification for what Anderson has said about Sadiq Khan. Sounds like it is. It sounds like it is a massive defense of. Sounds like it is a massive defense of Lee Anderson. It's okay. He worked down a pit. Chill, guys. You know, honestly. So, none of which is a justification of what Lee Anderson said about Sadiq Khan. It is not true that Islamists have control of Khan and that they've got control of London and they've got control of Starmer as well, as the last part of his somehow has now been overlooked, or that Khan has, quote, given our capital away to his mates. So here's the thing. Doesn't matter that you've said got control of Star. Well, to be honest, even if you'd said not those comments about Sadiq Khan, let's say he hadn't mentioned Sadiq Khan and he had said instead that about Starmer. Is that comment still Islamophobic? Yes, it is. So it doesn't matter that you add on that extra bit. Oh, but yes, he said they've got control of Keir Starmer as well. Doesn't matter. It's still pretty Islamophobic. Sorry. Um, so it goes on to say the more accurate charge to make against Khan, made as it happens in a conservative home profile of him, published back in January of 2016, shortly before he became mayor, is he possesses a remarkable ability to understand what an audience wants to hear and an almost unlimited willingness to say it. Is is that not you want what you want from a politician? Is this guy seriously saying that the biggest criticism he's got of Sadiq Khan is that he's good at reading a crowd? Just it's yeah, it's a bit of a bold move saying that. I'm not gonna lie, bit of a bold move, but it still doesn't excuse Anderson's comments, nor does it excuse you trying to defend him for his comments. You're now trying to deflect criticism on Sadiq Khan, which I thought this was meant to be, defending Lee Anderson's comments. But so Khan is a yes man, which is why after nearly 8 years in office, he is so weak and he cannot even rise to the level of events. Wait, if this guy's a yes man, he's had 8 years in office, but he's somehow really, really weak. Khan is like the biggest single threat to the city of London. But in reality, he is like this yes man who is a really weak politician, but he's still like the biggest single threat to the city of London. Yep. Absolutely true. This politics thing is hard when our opposition is good at politicking. Exactly. Exactly. How dare Sadiq Khan be good at politics? Um. So where are we? So he's a yes man. 8 years in office. He's so weak, cannot rise to level events. All he offers is approval of what is approved of, and even his most loyal supporters are underwhelmed by him. He's had 8 years as mayor of London, and he's probably going to win the next mayoral election as well. Yeah, really weak politician, guys. Really weak. Anyway, Anderson has the opposite problem. Wait, so you're now you are now going to compare Lee Anderson to Sadiq Khan. Okay, let's see how apparently Lee Anderson is really like Sadiq Khan. Anyway, Anderson has the opposite problem. He is a rebel. I don't really see him as a rebel, but there you go. uh, who cannot see a generally approved idea without giving it a good kick to see what, if anything, it is made of. This is rude of him, but it does not make him racist. So apparently, Anderson is a rebel, and he loves to kick good ideas. That doesn't make him racist, guys, even though he said an incredibly, racist comment. But totally not racist, guys. You don't understand. He's just a plucky conservative rebel. Um, so the heroes of Anderson Youth were rebels who were raised in the miners' revolt, um, and then led them to a terrible defeat. By the time Momentum, the heirs to Scargill, Skinner, and Ben, seized control of the Ashfield Council, um, Momentum was never in control of Ashfield Council. Like I say, I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not think the majority of the Labour candidates were like all backed by Momentum. But okay. So Anderson had moved away from that school of thought and towards a more moderate position. Yeah, he'd moved to a more moderate position, guys. Just the one that now happens to support the Tory party. He'd become a Labour councillor, and he'd had run two general election campaigns for the Labour MP of Ashfield, Gloria de Pelro, who herself was a Momentum target. In 2018, at a Labour group meeting in Ashfield, this is Lee Anderson's origin story, if you've never heard this before. So in 2018, a group meeting in Ashfield, one of Momentum's councillors, that's changed since then. It wasn't a Momentum councillor. It was used to be a member of Momentum in this group. Asked Anderson, "Have you ever read the works of Karl Marx?" "No," Anderson replied, whereupon the Momentum man said, "Why don't you F off then and join the Tory party?" Again, I do not believe that this was the interaction um, that that turned Lee Anderson into a conservative. That's that's all it took. That's all it took. Someone from Momentum, and it started this wonderful career. So he continues. He said, "The Labour Party do give good career advice," Anderson remarked with a laugh. For that is what he did. Conservatives sometimes overlook the important part the Momentum played in driving moderate Labour supporters out of the party. Anderson was adopted as the Conservative parliamentary candidate in Ashfield in December of 2019, where he won by a majority of 5,700 over a locally well-known independent with Labour, for whom Di Piero had decided not to stand, and now pushed into third place. Boris Johnson himself, by temperament and practice, was an insurgent. He had led the Conservatives into victory in many of the Red Wall seats, where the great traditional industries had now collapsed. Well, you haven't really rebuilt any of those great industries. You've failed spectacularly on a lot of them. So much for the whole leveling up agenda pushed by Boris Johnson. And remember, a lot of people in the Red Wall extremely annoyed by the fact that Johnson did not keep this. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's the posh home country's idea of what a northerner TM is like. It's total snobbery. Very true. Very, very true. Lee Anderson is one of the quote good northerners. Oh yeah, very true. Lee Anderson changing his mind after being laughed at. Very, very true. And to completely change his political stance due to be told to read a book isn't as ridiculous as it sounds. Yeah, yeah. I'd give you that. To be honest, yeah, that isn't a bad shout. That is not a bad shout, to be honest. So where are we? Brought the Conservative victory many red wall seats with the great traditional industries had collapsed. Support for Labour had long been declining, and Brexit offered the chance to rebel not just against Brussels, but against a very distant and disdainful London establishment, of which the Conservatives are also part as well. Um, like I say, it wasn't just a chuck at that; it was mostly for Brexit. And like I say, you can't really run that that whole referendum. You can't run that type of campaign again because people are going to question. Well, hold on, didn't you get Brexit done last time? Why haven't you done it? Given the fact that they had such a big majority. And then this is fun. Anderson soon emerged as one of the most articulate and amusing of the Red Wall MPs. I don't think I've ever heard Anderson being described as acute and amusing. Boorish and outspoken, absolutely. um, and I think very, very much a willingness, vast overstatement of his, should we say, particular capabilities. Um, Certainly when he was deputy party chairman, promising Rishi that we win all those local council seats. Don't worry, Rishi, because I'm going to win all those seats for you. Didn't really work, did it? So a year ago, I asked him what his parents thought about his change of political allegiance. He said they were first very grumpy when I first joined the Tory party, he replied, but they then fell in love with Boris. Anderson said that episodes such as getting stuck on the zip wire, the rugby tackle by Johnson during a charity football match, made working class people think, oh, he's making mistakes, he's one of us. He's happy to laugh at himself. When my dad saw the rugby tackle, he could not stop laughing, especially um, as it were in Germany as well. Yeah, you shouldn't really pick a political leader based on the ability to laugh at them. I wouldn't. If I was picking a political leader, I wouldn't be looking at their comedic value. If I'm going to sort of put them in a position. Um, oh yes, but as well. Good evening to Jez Hunt, Billy as well. Good evening to you, Helen. Good evening to you, and Loki's children. Good evening to you. You're just in time. Later, we're going to have a NATO party, so get your uh, get your disco gear on, because there ain't no party like a NATO party, as the S Club once sang. Um, so although Anderson refused yesterday to apologize to Khan, he did issue an important clarification. Oh, so he's not going to apologize, but he's going to issue a clarification. So the vast majority of our Muslim friends in the UK are decent, hardworking citizens who make amazing contributions to our society, and their religion should not be blamed for the actions of a tiny minority of extremists. Except people who believe that whole thing, people who believe this, believe that they're all behind it, that every single one of them is responsible. You can watch a Tommy Robinson video and him infamously just point down behind the street and say, "Look at this! You see this street? They're all after you." They all believe that they're all cut from the same cloth. So this clarification does still not excuse what he said. So he continues, this row will perhaps have the useful effect of forcing people to say rather more clearly what they mean. Really. So next time Lee Anderson does a racism, he needs to be more expressive about what he, actually means. He needs to be more expressive about what he means about his racism. Um, but one hopes it will not be used as an excuse to read an unending series of prosy lectures to red wall MPs and voters from a position of insufferable moral superiority. Really, you should go to your other MPs and say, hey guys, you probably shouldn't be racist on this thing. Probably shouldn't be saying these types of things. Anyway, neither Anderson nor his official staff, some of them are former Labour members, nor his constituents, many of them former Labour voters, deserve to be cast out into the outer darkness. Then what should be happen if someone does or says something racist about this? Should they not be punished for doing this? Should they not be said, hey, you have to apologize for saying this? What should happen? I'm very interested because so far his whole stance has been it's okay. Lee Anderson's working class. It's fine for him to do and say this because after all, we've got all these, other people we want to keep happy campers too. So the Conservative Party is a national party. Uh, and the nation it seeks to represent includes both Ashfield and London, both Christians and Muslims, and indeed many people of our faiths, or more frequently, of none. It follows that Rishi Sunak is right to leave a way open for Anderson to rejoin the party in due course. And those on either side of his argument who wish to maintain an embittered and extremist opinion are in error. What? So remember, guys, because we have a problem with Anderson doing a racism, we are embittered and extreme opinions, and we're just in error. Now let's take a look. What's going on here? Someone saying that they've been blocked by Gary. This is Gary. So the disconnect between the comments in Conservative Home and say the Telegraph website is stark. We know the big reason why this is because this place is free. It's full of lefties leaving a trail of excrement. But why is this allowed to happen? Really? So whenever you see comments you don't like here, maybe complaining or pushing back against what's been said on Conservative Home, it's just lefties. That's who they are. But there you go. It is simply not possible to have a proper, focused discussion with other right-centered people on here. It is not the main reason. Is it not the main reason this place exists? To be talking shop to those people on the right, or the number of clicks more important? If there are any more of these places in existence of those on the right to debate without annoying left-wingers, please do share. And then someone suggests Guido Fawkes. Wow. Just, push them further down the right-wing funnel. Poor Gary there, being pushed down. Yep, Anderson trying to whip up hatred against Muslims because it's the most popular form of bigotry at the moment. Last century, it would have been the Jews. Otherwise, we'd have been here centuries before the Huguenots or something. Whatever, it will be flushed away in just a few short months. The only question is how much damage he does to the party before then. Yep. Long may he do a long points of damage to the Tories on his way out. That will be kind of hilarious. Yeah. I noticed that Anderson is very flexible with politics and principles. He spoke out against MPs having second jobs and is now raking it in with GB News. He was a loyal supporter of Corbyn once, and now he's tired of the Conservatives for a while and then messed it up. Reform next? Question mark. Oh, I would love to see him go join Reform. That would be hilarious. Whether or not Reform wants him, and whether or not we find out about Trice's offer to give these MPs like a guaranteed 5-year salary, we'll see what happens if that's true or not. Oh yeah, why Lee Anderson is right and the Tories are in free fall. Hmm. Hmm. Probably best not to read that. Probably best not to read that one. Oh, but yes, that is Conservative Home's bizarre defense of Lee Anderson. But that's Conservative Home for you. Like I say, there is a reason. There is a reason why we pay it a visit every so often. So, hang on. Let me get the map. Let me get the map up, and we can show you. Good I do. So, oh no, Duke Vengeance, no. As fun as War Thunder is, it it the owner of War Thunder is a massive Russia supporter. Yeah, it's a bit upsetting. Go find something else during the meantime. That would be my recommendation. But we have, ladies and gentlemen, oh, it's finally been approved. Sweden is now in NATO. This means that this entire inland sea here, the Baltic Sea, is now a NATO lake. So this entire area here, one of the central ways, bear in mind, of access to Russia. This is the port of St. Petersburg is the biggest seaport for Russia. Next, of course, down here in the Black Sea. But this one's far more important because what can happen now? Well, in the event of war, essentially, this happens. this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, and this happens. So effectively, at this point, if there is a war, a NATO war, if Putin kicks off and starts a NATO war, his biggest supply route uh, to his country is blocked off. St. Petersburg becomes blockaded instantly. Like instantly. You, that's it. No more operating here. And with Sweden joining the alliance now, not only does this add their subfleet to the or you were doing really well and then you played your war games. Hey, I'm just trying to explain what happens in the event of a NATO war. Like I say, Putin's blockaded himself here. If this happens, he's screwed. Oh, and by the way, this reinforces the position of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania as well. Because won't he just take Estonia, Latvia, and the Baltic states? Here's the thing: we've now got a supply line to these countries. There is now a good sea route, and people are going to say, "Oh, but what about Kaliningrad here?" Well, here's the thing: Poland has bought an absolute ton of HIMARS from America. They are now all pointing directly at Kaliningrad. In a war, Kaliningrad becomes a fortress for Russia, and it is just a matter of time before they give in. Because they can't be reinforced from the sea, they can't be reinforced from the air. There's going to be a big NATO push in there to clear that out immediately. That will be like one of the first targets that NATO would go after to like secure it. And then afterwards, you would get a push on into probably Belarus, maybe into Moscow. Again, that's fantasy war. That's me armchair generaling. I will admit that. But yeah, this is now Putin's problem. He has done this to himself. Finland and Sweden were not in NATO before this war, and now they are. And they have specifically joined NATO because of like his actions. Like they weren't anywhere near joining NATO. This happens. Finland goes, "Oh, actually, we should probably in. Should probably be in there on that." And then Sweden joined as well. And like I say, the Baltic Sea now a complete and utter NATO lake. That's what he's done. That's what he's done on this. So if his whole reason and justification, if his whole reason justification is to stop NATO expansion, two countries have just joined NATO thanks to his war invasion to Ukraine. NATO has become far stronger in since the invasion of Ukraine than it was before that. Who's responsible for that? Vladimir Putin. he himself is responsible for that. No one else. So about time Orban backed down. Apparently, the first time his party tried to well, they didn't turn up, so they couldn't hold the vote. So this caused a massive hoo-ha in his country because a lot of people in Hungary do support Ukraine over Russia for historical reasons, and there were lots of protests saying, "Hey, you can't do this." Orban saw which way the wind was blowing, went, "Okay, probably should pass this." So it has now been passed. Sweden's in NATO. And why is this important? So, Crimean War, or if you've seen the absolute, really good extra history video on this, people should say it should be called the Baltic Sea War, because that's where the Crimean War was fought and won. In the UK and France being able to blockade the Baltic Sea, go after his main supply lines of Russia at that time. It wasn't Crimea where the where that war was won. It was won in the Baltic Sea. So very same conditions now set up again. Should Putin try to do anything again? So thank you, Orban, for okaying that. Thank you very much. It's going to be a good party time, I think, today for NATO. Oh, and also that was the other thing as well. You remember the Crooked House? The Crooked House has now been ordered to be rebuilt. So that is a very good victory. Although still, we do not know what's happened to the clock. That clock still needs to be found, because that will probably answer a lot of questions about why it mysteriously burnt down. Oh, this might be good. The post office inquiry apparently all kicked off today. So yeah, it looks like Kimmy Badnock might not be around too much longer. uh, if you haven't seen that, so that all kicked off today. I'm gonna have to have a deeper look in that, I think, tomorrow. But yes, looks like Badnock's not long for her position. She's very, very likely going to lose her seat, which will be quite fun and quite well deserved, to be honest. But anyway, yes. Thank you for joining me about. Oh yes, she also did. Yeah, that was also true as well. Her little Canada lie. But yes, thank you very much for joining me. Like I say, for this impromptu stream. Like I say, there is no Geoscope tonight. Unfortunately, Graham is away. Shall we say away? This Tuesday, but there will be one next week. So do come down and join us for a normal Scope Geoscope as normal. But I thought I'd do this just instead, just to have a talk about, of course, this bizarre defensive answer they got, and of course to celebrate Sweden joining NATO. So that is a big step, of that. So I'm very quite happy about that. But other than that, like I say, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Like I say, please do remember to click on the like, share, and button on your way out. And of course, we'll see you all next time. In fact, we'll probably see. Actually, shall we do one tomorrow? Shall we do one? Shall we do one tomorrow? A Wednesday live stream. Tell you what, we will. We'll do a Wednesday night live stream. We haven't done one for a while, but we'll do one. I don't know what we'll do, but we'll have a think. We'll have a think. We'll have a think about it. But if not, like I say, we'll see you all again very soon. So until then, bye for now.